Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Torelli. I'm the chairman of the Orange County Industrial Development Agency, and I'd like to welcome everybody to the December 15th, 2021 regularly scheduled meeting of both the Orange County Industrial Development Agency and the Orange County Funding Corporation. As you notice, we are virtual today due to stringent mandates that have come down. It was decided that we will be going virtual for these meetings today. With that, I'd like to get the meeting started. So with that, we'd like to all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. If you could all join with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Bill, if you'd like to call the roll call, please, for the official attendance.
Yes, sir. Michael Torelli,
Present.
John Dowdett,
Present.
Paul Ruskevich,
Present.
Vincent Odock,
Present.
and member Dean Timbury is absent, not able to make it this evening. So 4 of our 5 current board members are present.
Great. Thank you. Bill, go right along into it. Let's go into the next agenda item, please.
Okay, first thing I'll throw out there is our calendars. Thank you all for making the adjustment. Our board meetings are going to be starting at 5:30 p.m. now, just to allow people a little more time to get in and get settled. We're most likely going to be doing that with all of our meetings going forward, committee meetings as well. So, and we did make a shift, obviously, with some new composition of the board to the 3rd for our board meetings, the 3rd Wednesday of each month, again at 5:30 p.m. So we did share calendars for both OCIDA and OCFC just for the next 12 meetings scheduled from January till December of 2022. Again, all at 5:30 p.m., all on the 3rd Wednesday of the month, and all in person, unless otherwise noted, like what we're doing today, in person at the Orange County Government Center in Goshen in the community room on the 1st floor. So want to make sure you have that. If anyone has any questions about the calendar, you can ask me now, follow up with me later, but I do have a hard copy that you should have a copy of that you'll be able to post and refer to for a small item.
Great. Thank you, Bill.
Sure. Second, we had our last board meeting on November 17th, and then we had a committee meeting on December 1st. So you have minutes from both of those meetings, and we just need approval, I guess, one at a time. First, maybe the November 17th board meeting minutes.
Great. I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, John. Roll call, Bill.
Any discussion at all, can I ask? No, all good? Okay. Torelli,
Yes.
Dowdett,
Yes.
Ruskevich,
Yes.
Odock.
Yes.
All right, 4 ayes, motion passes. Now the December 1st committee minutes.
I'll make that motion to pass.
Seconded.
Second, Dr. Odock. Okay. Torelli,
Yes.
Dowdett,
Yes.
Ruskevich,
Yes.
Odock.
Yes.
4 ayes, motion passes. Next item is finance, getting into our November financials for the organization.
Bill, before you get started, if everyone can, I don't know if you have the ability to, but if you do, pull up your board packets so that you can be going over it as we're going over it. If you do not have that capability, please let us know, and we can ask Bill to share a screen with it on a screen so that you would be able to see it as well. So in this instance, I'm working off of my phone and I'm on my computer. So I'm looking up the board packet on my computer and keeping the phone for all my audio and video. So just for that housekeeping thing, if anyone has an issue, please let us know. And if you need to see something, Bill can always share it on the screen.
Yes.
Yes. I would like to see that on the screen.
Okay.
All right. So if you have any questions, Dr. Odock, we can always verbalize them to you.
All right.
In the interest of time. But basically, we're going to be going through, Bill will be presenting the financials for the IDA, which would be starting on page 14 of your packet for those that can pull it up. Don't worry about it, but let's move forward.
Forget it. Okay. Apologies. Okay, so I'm looking at what is still entitled the Accelerator expenses, which is really everything mostly tied under that area of expenses.
Titled that in our board packet. Page 14, the first page is titled Orange County IDA Income and Expense Summary. Right? Is that what we're doing first, is the financials, or?
We are.
Okay.
I think mine is 14 is not showing that, but killing me. Dying here, Dean. Okay, page 14. This doesn't have page numbers on it. So that the first page is not income with client rent at top. That shows.
No, I mean, the board packet that you sent out dated 12/15/21 OCIDA general packet. Page 14 has Orange County IDA Income and Expense Summary, November 2021. As the first financial sheet. The second page has Orange County IDA Accelerator Income and Expense Summary, November 2021. That's what I'm working off on, unless I'm working off of the wrong thing.
No, I got the same as you.
Mike, that's what I pulled off. Bill, just so you know, that's what I pulled off and printed from the website. So if you can get to the website, you can pull down the board packet, because that's what
I appreciate that, because I'm dead in the water with email right now. Dean has been trying to fix it, but we're having problems.
Yeah, just go to the website and pull down the board packet, which, like I said,
Thank
I
you.
just printed up. I'm old school.
Good idea. Yeah, really. Okay.
Bill, I'm not sure that this will work, but can you pass like privileges to me? I could share my screen maybe.
Sure, I can definitely do that.
I'll try it. I don't know that it will work, but I have
Sure.
the agenda.
You know, I'm dead here, man. So really, whatever you can do to help me, I'm really, obviously you can tell I'm struggling here. So whatever you
Oh,
guys.
that's.
can do.
Oh, there you go.
Yes,
Is that Dean?
yes.
Okay, Dean, can you skip past all the minutes? There's quite a few pages of that. And then Zoom, if you could, please.
There you go.
That's it.
Yep, that's good. Perfect, right.
So now I'm looking at that hard copy and it says page 15 at the bottom. That says page 14. I see it. Okay. I guess it's because we added this page. Okay. Sorry. So I'm looking at the same one. So, all right, very simply, November financials. This is for the IDA, not associated with Accelerator related expenses. Just what you're seeing there under November interest earnings for the CDs we have deposits for right now. The 4495 is it's similar to what it is monthly. That is for our local labor auditing. The expenses related to that $4,500. Further down from that is Women's Enterprise Development Center, $30,000. That has been booked or accounted for, but not yet approved by the board. You recall you had additional questions we're getting answers for. So it is booked, but again, it has not been approved. So that is something that if it's not paid, that would be zeroed out. Really, that's everything. Expenses totaling close to $35,000 and 34,000 under for the year. Let's see, I can't scroll down there. What do you have next, please?
OCIDA Accelerator Income and Expense Summary, November 2021.
Terrific. All right. First is client rent. That's what we're receiving from clients. That does include, by the way, rents that we're receiving for 603 and 605 Broadway, which you'll recall we are remitting back to the landlord because we're not paying them rent directly. So that's all the rents we included. And it does include Newburgh salaries, payroll, special initiatives at $3,750. I'll break that down for you. That is going back to Newburgh and the rent that we do reimburse. $2,250 of that $3,750 is rent that we are remitting back to B4 Holdings, our former landlord in Newburgh. $1,000 is for basically the general handyman that we use here. He's done a lot of work for us. And we used him when I moved in here. We had to move some furniture around. He helped us with that. And then there also was a saga with one of our Accelerator clients down the hill in New Windsor, where another client had been given permission to use some of their space. And that was an initial conflict I walked into that was created by the previous administration. In order to resolve it, we apportioned part of one of the spaces down at 334 Avenue of the Americas. And we put up a kind of a false partition with a door in there to separate that so that the one client's goods and belongings were protected. So 1,000 of that, $1,050 was for moving expenses from this handyman and for the work he did to secure one of our clients' spaces at the Accelerator. That's what the special initiatives are. You're seeing a big number for rent under building expenses, $98,357. That is because what the Danza Lesser Group, our landlord at the Middletown Accelerator, I understand this is typical that they don't invoice us for rent all year long and they do it in one big shot. So we received that invoice for January through December of this year, rent totaling $98,000. It also, no, I'm sorry, $98,000 also includes our rent for the month at 334 Avenue of the Americas. 3 of those we're paying for the last time, and here at 4 Crotty Lane. So that's what that rent is. Utilities, obviously, utilities in these locations. Let's see, moving down here. IT is phones and internet as usual. Marketing, PR website and membership, that's about $6,400. That does include $2,500 of a monthly retainer fee from Focus Media that we've talked about a couple of times. I did meet with Focus. This is the last month we're paying that. And that's something that we're going to re-procure is marketing and PR. They are interested in bidding on that, but they understand that we're ending our relationship as it is right now. They also, I will add that Focus Media realizes that we had a lot of transition over the last few months, and they have offered, and they felt that we haven't taken full advantage of the services that were included in that retainer, which is not only website maintenance for the IDA website, but also some PR work, some writing, copywriting, things like that. They are working on a couple stories for us, but they have offered to give us a number of hours and some additional work. Really, I don't want to say for free, included in what we've already paid for. So they are trying to make sure we get the value of what we've been paying all along. But again, we are terminating that agreement and we'll be re-procuring marketing and PR services in the next couple of months. Office cleaning, office supplies and such, that's what's on there. That's really, if there are any other questions, that's the Accelerator component of that. And here is just cash balances as we're often seeing. You're seeing our investments at Orange Bank and Trust for 2 CDs that you agreed upon a couple of months ago. And then you're seeing cash in equivalents totaling just shy of $8 million for OCIDA. And
we're still processing the next 2 CDs, correct, Bill?
Correct. We don't have signatures for it. That's the problem. We don't have 2 signatures for the checks. We were ready to go last month. So just when we, that's our next item. When we get to that, we'll be able to resolve those and set those up.
Okay. So normally we vote on the financials and then go into the specifics about the payables, correct?
Yes.
All right. I'd like to make a motion subject. There's 2 things here that are a little bit different than in the past. We have rent that is coming due in Middletown, which we have to vote upon down in the specific lines down below when we get to the payables, as well as the agency contribution cost for the women's enterprise. So while it's in the financials, I'll ask for a motion to approve the financials subject to those 2 things being discussed upon in our next discussion when it comes down to specifics on payables.
Very good. Okay, we have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Paul. Wait a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
John got it. All right.
Any discussion? Roll call, Bill.
All right. Torelli,
Yes.
Doughtit,
Yes.
Ruskevich,
Yes.
and Odoc.
Yes.
4 ayes, motion passes.
Okay, if we can get down to page 17, the payables.
We'll come back to the signatories item.
Well, let's just stay consistent with this and then we'll come back. Yeah,
Sure.
sorry.
Okay, so our payables, you're seeing the first set as usual is our recurring. Couple things on here. Most of this is pretty typical of what you've been seeing, except we do have rent on here. I see for 605, I don't know, a gas and electric, I'm sorry, for 605 and 603 Broadway. That we're transferring over to B4 Holdings. So I'm going to take that off because we're not paying that, as well as a little further down, Verizon, Fios, Newburgh 605. Again, that too is 605 Broadway for $139.85. So I'll be looking to deduct that. I have that math later here. Skipping a little further down, as I mentioned, Focus Media, a $2,500 retainer. That will be the last time that they'll be billing that until we reprocure. I'll also note just below that, Frontier Fiber Optic in Middletown. As I've mentioned, this is the last month, and then we're done with that agreement. So we're going to be looking to find new, more cost-effective service for that. We've been kind of waiting for that to expire. So that's something else that we'll be changing before long. Credit card payment, that includes our GoDaddy renewal, our G Suite, which we'll probably be getting away from, by the way, moving over to Microsoft 365. Been a little problematic with Google G Suite. And then we have a monthly payment for Zoom and other office supplies that's in there. And then at the very bottom of this page, you'll see, as I mentioned before, January through December 2021 rent payable to Danzer Lesser Group for the Middletown Accelerator, $81,000. So the grand total is $113,799.33. Taking out, I don't believe I think I skipped one other thing. I'm sorry. About a quarter of the way down on the first page here. Town of New Windsor, building 2416 rent. That's at 334 Avenue of the Americas for the New Windsor Accelerator pod. These leases have expired for this building, for example. It expires at the end of the month. This is the okay for us to pay January. We did receive from our accountant, they sent us a check for this because they do it every month, not realizing that the lease had expired. So I'm also going to be deducting the $6,198.92 for the rent for the 3 buildings for which the leases are expiring at the end of this calendar year. So out of the $113,000 and change, deducting New Windsor rent of $6198.92. Also the utilities for 603 and 605 Broadway, as well as Fios, including internet at 605 Broadway. So I'm just going to finish that math, double check this. I don't know if anyone else has done that. 107,018.85. Double verify our math one more time. Do it one more time here.
All right, so while you're doing the math again, any discussion on the page 17 going into page 18 of the first set of bills, the reoccurring building services? One discussion that I would like to have then is to talk about the Danzer Lesser Group, the rent for the Middletown office. I'd like to get the council's opinion on how we're treating our accelerator facilities and our agreements differently. In this instance, they're looking to get paid $81,648, it appears. In the past, specifically in Newburgh. We've only submitted or given to our landlords the rent that we've collected. We've eliminated Highland Falls. We're getting out of New Windsor. And there really is no rent in Warwick. So I wanted to get open a discussion on that, if we're doing this the right way or not.
Mike, this is Langdon. I would just assume have an attorney-client session before you pay the Danza Lesser bill.
Okay. Thank you. Bill, let's deduct 81,648. Put that in a hold pattern, please.
Yep.
And come up with a new number.
Okay. All right, the new total of bills to be approved is, I'll double check this, $25,166.80.
Any further discussion, board members, in regards to the new listing of, or that new total?
No, good, Mike.
All right, with that, I'd entertain a motion to accept the new total as Bill just totaled it up.
I'll make that motion to accept that total.
Thank you. I'll second that. Bill, roll call, please.
Torelli,
Yes.
Dowdit,
Yes.
Riskevich,
Yes.
Odoc,
Yes.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you. Next page, page 19. Our monthly contracts.
This is just our one with from Llc Brill. It's right around the same amount each month for their site visits for the active projects that they're visiting right now. That's what this is, the only amount under monthly contracts.
And you've double checked all that, Bill?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Entertain a motion to accept monthly contracts, page 19, the amount of $39.20.
So move.
Second,
And second.
right? Roll call, Bill.
Torelli,
Yes.
Dowdit,
Yes.
Riskevich,
Yes.
Odoc,
Yes.
4 ayes, motion carries.
All right, page 20. The all other category, the infamous all other category. Billy, anything you
other.
described there? I think you
First,
described
the $500,000, that's simply to put into the second second set of CDs that the board approved investments into. Empire State Bank, 18 months at 0.4%, and Connect One, 12 months at 0.25%, $250,000 each. So that's what that's for. I mentioned before Rose Home Improvement, the work that he did here at Fort Crowdy and Avenue of the Americas. We had to purchase new checks. UHY needed those, our bookkeeper. So that's what the 238.64 cents is. And the 895.49, that is a reimbursement to me. I don't know that you got detail on that. I can share that, especially since it's for me. I can get that all to you. That's basically for the conference that I went to in Cooperstown for New York State EDC. That covers registration of the event itself. It covers hotel for 2 nights there, and it wasn't the Otisaga. It was a little more cost-effective hotel down the street, and it covers 2 meals that I had there for $895.49. The chairman and I had talked about that in advance, so that's my submission for reimbursement.
Great. Any discussion, questions?
Nope.
With that, I entertain a motion to approve.
Move. Motion to approve.
Great. Second?
I'll second.
Great. Roll call, Bill.
Torelli,
Yes.
Dowdit,
Yes.
Odoc,
Yes.
Riskevich,
Yes.
4 ayes.
Great. You want to head, sorry, I went out of order, Bill, but
Okay.
go back to signatories.
Yes. So you're it right now, Mr. Chairman, and we need at least one more, obviously, for checks requiring 2 signatures. And I did want to throw out the idea of adding a 3rd signatory so that we had an option as needed. happy to have council chime in if there's anything to add there. And last month, you recall, we had some discussion about the CEO being signatory, and I think we talked about holding off on that.
Okay.
I think it is a good idea to have more than one, certainly, because there are instances where you need dual signatures, but also for just business purposes, in the event someone is unavailable, you don't want to be without a signer. So identifying those signatories is important. And then, of course, you can put safeguards around them in terms of what checks need to have two signatures, what dollar amounts, what accounts. Someone who is submitting the requisition shouldn't be the signatory. So those are easy things to put in place, but identifying who your signatories are going to be should be something you do so that you can, move forward without delay.
Right now, Bill, we have 2 signatories on everything, correct? That's our current policy?
We do, yes.
Okay. Well, we need another signatory. We can't ask Mr. Douthit to do that because we'll be talking about that soon in my chairman's report. So Paul, Dr. Odak, either one of you feel okay with that? Comfortable with becoming a signatory? Not comfortable?
I think I'll vote for Paul. Paul can do that. Yes. I'll go with Paul.
Paul, you okay with that?
I was actually gonna suggest Dr. Odak.
Paul.
Fair game.
Bill, why don't we vote on that? Vincent and Paul, you guys vote on that, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only comment I'll make is just I want to keep in mind ability to connect. So Paul is over in the Pine Island area and obviously in Goshen, which is 25 minutes from here. It's not that difficult for me to get to him. But if it's any easier, Dr. Odak being in the neighborhood and Dean, who is not available to speak for himself, so we could volunteer him for anything. But he's also in the Newburgh, New Windsor, a Marlboro area, I guess, Middle Hope area. Throwing that out there.
I'm a little bit further away. Yes.
You're in the town of Newburgh, sir?
Again?
You're in the town of Newburgh?
Yes, but a little bit further away towards Newport. Correct.
Okay. Yeah, the town does go way up there. Okay.
I'll entertain a motion if anybody would like to make it. To add someone as a signatory.
You have any idea how Dean might feel?
I don't.
Well, I guess I could do it.
Well, the
tomorrow. I don't know where we're gonna go after, we assign new board members and whatnot, but I'd be willing to do it temporarily if need be.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
I'll make that motion to make Paul Ruskevich, our current board member, an additional signatory. And then we'll revisit as we do in our first quarter of every year. We'll do I don't want to say a reorganization meeting, but we'll come up with things that we need to do. And that'll be one of the topics that we'll come back to. Okay, Paul?
Sounds good.
Okay. So we made that motion. We seconded it. I made it. I think Dr. Odak seconded or vice versa. Bill, you want to call the roll on that, please?
Sure. Torelli?
Yes.
Dowdit?
Yes.
Ruskevich?
Yes.
Odak?
Yes.
4 ayes.
Great.
And we'll just have to make some arrangements to get you signature cards and such. We're going to look to do that as quickly as possible, frankly, just so we can get some past last month's checks and this month's signed and get them out the door. Okay.
Great. Next item agenda is you want to make a presentation about the CFO discussion, Bill?
Sure. I have that document. I think I can share that now.
Do we have it in our board packet? No?
I sent it separately. I didn't send it in this month's board packet, I don't believe.
You remember the date in which you sent it so I can look it up, please?
I might be able to get that for you. That was, I don't know when that was. December 13th.
Thank you. Yep, thank you. All right. I have it up. Bill, I don't know if you want to pull it up or if you want to lead a discussion about this, please.
Yeah, let me see if I can share here. Boy, this is crazy. Okay. Boy, Dean, I don't even know if I can email this to you or someone. Incredible. Okay. I'm just going to talk about it. But who does not have it in front of them? Who does not have a copy? Sue, have you seen this? Okay. If you all have it in front of you, then I won't worry about sharing it. But if you do need to see it, then I will.
I have it, so I'm good.
Okay, great. So essentially, we have in this comparison document we put together, we have, I'll say 5 options, with the first column in gray there being our current arrangement, which of course, before we let the CFO go, before the CFO left, we had an accountant in UHY Advisors based in Kingston, really doing bookkeeping work, working with the CFO. When the CFO left, we changed our arrangement. UHY took on additional duties and some CFO duties, and Kelly and I took on CFO related duties. We shared some of that, Kelly taking a lot of that on. So the current arrangement talks about UHY as the bookkeeper, and PM on your chart is project manager, which is Kelly. And I say I have Kelly on one of these. And of course, CEO being myself. So that's the current arrangement. And then we have 4 other options. I guess I'll go to the end, which is UHY being interested in continuing their role of what I just described, bookkeeping plus some additional CFO related duties there at the end, and working backward from there is RBT CPAs. That's an accounting firm here in Newburgh, or right next door in the town of Newburgh. We also have, as one of our options we talked about, is the Orange County Finance Commissioner, the Commissioner of Finance. It's Karen Hablow. We've met with her. She's come in here a couple of times to get a handle on everything we're doing, and has offered her services, which is a similar arrangement that the Orange County IDA had for many years with the previous Commissioner of Finance, Joel Kleinman. He served as CFO here for a long time. So that's another option of ours. And then the last is one I have alluded to over a couple of meetings. BST, another large CPA firm, primarily headquartered in the Capital District. They have a specific CFO for hire type program, is the way they describe it, and that was something that was referred to me again from my time at the New York State EDC conference, and me looking for some possibilities in this area, as well as when we were looking for counsel as well. So BST was recommended, and they'd have the CFO for hire arrangement. So I split the duties into a few different categories. The first page being CFO related duties, preparing financial reports for these meetings, attending board meetings to present the financials, presenting cash balances and our accounts payables and receivables, working on the annual budget and cash flow projections, preparing for the audit, soliciting investment rates for CDs and money markets and such as we've been through together, updating our investment policy as needed related to that, and improving control measures, policies, and things like that, continuing to consult us to help us improve and have greater controls and oversight, bond issuance, potentially being a co-signer on checks. That was something that's been done before in this role, and be available for meetings and for financial analysis as required. So those are all CFO related duties. And you see, we show the current arrangement, and then there are check marks next under each of these proposals as to whether or not they would do it or not. In some cases, yes, I have a check mark. Yes, they'll perform those duties as part of their rate. In some cases, there's additional hourly fees that we would face, and I have more specifics related to that at the end. So that's the first piece. Second category of duties is accounting and bookkeeping duties. Entering and approving payroll and staff line. It's our portal through EA Staffing Services. Kelly and I do that ourselves right now. Opening checks and making bank deposits, preparing vouchers, preparing deposits, entering accounts payable in QuickBooks and cutting checks, monthly bank reconciliations, payroll journal entries, drafting invoices to our customers, really generally rent invoices to our Accelerator subtenants, journal entries, reconciliations, balance sheet reconciliations and such. We have escrow accounts, we have the resiliency loan fund, and other funding that we provide that all falls under accounting and bookkeeping. And then the last small section was just other reporting duties. We do need to collect information for Paris reporting a couple times a year. We need to complete that actual reporting. Harris Beach has been doing that for us for a very low cost. And we have a couple other types of reporting, JCOP, for example, which is tied to having a lobbyist really on retainer. So we recently, a couple of months ago, completed a report for that. So that falls in line as well. So that's the last category of duties that we have there, where you see who's able to do what. And then the last piece of the analysis, really in yellow there, if you're seeing it that way, are they local to Orange County? That's something we're always asking about. So we made that clear. We have their fee per month that they quoted us. I also, the third row there talks about additional duties that would be required by the outsourced bookkeeper. So if the proposal doesn't include everything that is some of the duties that UHY is currently managing, then I wanted to be specific about that. And it looks like, and I did go back to all these individuals or firms who made proposals, and I asked follow-up questions about all these things. And in that regard, it looks like we would just need the other to retain the bookkeeping firm or hire another one with the finance commissioner proposal, because we would need them to generate checks and invoices, do some reconciling, and issue the 1099s. But in the other proposals, they would cover, there would be no need for additional bookkeeping. When there is that need, I also included what that monthly cost would be estimated. And then I added in costs for Paris reporting, because right now we're paying very little, but that's something that would be included with most of the proposals except for UHY. We would continue to be outsourced that additionally. And the last piece is most proposals included an additional expense for preparation for our annual audit, and that is a one-time fee per year that is included as well. And then you see at the very end, comparing our costs here, current arrangement, and what the different options would be based upon what the quotes are that we received. And just below that, I have some fee rate notes so if you see anywhere in the comparison where it says that it could be additional work, you see I've got the quotes from basically the three accounting firms as to their quoted rates, depending upon who's doing work. If one of their partners is, one of their managers, an audit associate, for example, all those rates are listed, and we would be able to kind of guesstimate what additional fees we would pay if needed, if there are additional services that aren't covered under the proposed agreements.
Well, Bill, great job of putting this together. I mean, it's exactly what we asked for. We asked for a chart so we can get as close to apples comparison as possible. Board members, as you know, this is another one in our long list of new procurements that we're trying to do. Obviously, we already procured some stuff in the past, or some services. Specifically, we hired Sue for legal and stuff for counsel. This is this next step, and we still have more steps like this to go with bond counsel, with labor consulting, those type of things. But I'd like to open it up for questions, because I know this is a lot of information, but we've had it now for a couple of weeks. And Bill, I want to say good job in putting this together.
Thank you.
Makes it really easy to understand for me.
I certainly understood it better once it was in this format as well. So it was helpful. Thanks.
Questions, board members, concerns, discussion? Consultants, council, anyone have any questions, concerns? Without none, board members, anybody like to entertain a motion to approve potentially one of these to start? The start would be January 1, correct, Bill?
Yes,
Because we're on a
that's what we're
fiscal
looking for.
calendar. We're on a fiscal calendar that starts January 1, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
The only question I would ask is, I understand that you are currently using UHY. That's your current provider.
Correct.
So as you're considering this, I am making the assumption, because I haven't heard it, but just want to raise it, that you have been happy with their services to date. There's no service issues that anyone should be aware of. They have performed up to what your expectations are. Is that correct?
Yes, I would say that's generally the case. There's always little issues here and there, but nothing really substantive.
Okay, then it's apples to apples. I just wanted to make sure there was nothing that the board should be aware of when they're comparing the quotes.
Great, thank you. Board members, anyone like to make a motion or feel comfortable, or do you want to keep on looking at this? Wow, eerie silence.
I've gone through that. I think I'm okay.
Okay. With that, without anybody making a motion, I'd like to make a motion. And in this instance, in reviewing all the information that was provided by staff, looking at a couple different options here, I'd like to propose that we hire for a period of anywhere for 24 months, RBT CPAs, local firm, cost effective and well-renowned in the local area for commercial CPA firms. If you recall, we did solicit this, and before I finished this proposal or this, I want to just let everybody know that we still do have an auditing firm, JGS, and they did not, while they did get solicited for this, they decided to wait till the next round that we do this potentially in the future, as they're still under contract for our audit for this year and potentially next. So just want everyone to know that. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to hire RPT CPAs at the cost associated here for a period of no less than 24 months.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Doctor.
Vince, I'll take that as a second. Would you raise your hand, or?
Yes, a second. I second that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. Any discussion? With that, roll call, Bill.
All right. Torelli,
Yes.
Dowdett,
Yes.
Ruskevich,
Yes.
Odoc,
Yes.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Good job, Bill. I'd ask
Very
you to
much.
set up a conference call between RBT and UHY so they can start working on stuff together. And then obviously, both of them should probably be working with JGS for this upcoming annual audit, which we usually do first quarter. So
Absolutely.
awesome. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you all.
Thanks.
All right. I'm trying to toggle back and forth between 10,000 screens. All right. Chairman's report. That's me. So pretty quick report. Want to thank everybody for rolling with the punches per se and getting on this call virtually. We still have an open invite to anybody who'd like to attend or come and meet us afterwards. I know that not everybody's going to be able to, but if you do, we are going to all be going to Delancey's and Goshen just for some holiday cheer. That's an open invite to everybody, including consultants. And then a big part of my chairman's report is really want to thank board member John Douthit. John has publicly told us in past board meetings and has followed that up with a letter to us that he will be coming off the board as of the end of the year. End of the year is only, 15 days away. So John, I want to thank you for your service, but more importantly, your friendship and keeping us on the straight and narrow. I know this won't be the last time that we'll be working with you. And if there's anything that any of us can ever do for you, please let us know, because you've done an unbelievable service to the county in helping us with the Orange County IDA and the Orange County Funding Corporation. You'll be sorely missed, but we'll continue to work with the legislature to try to see how they're going to try to replace you. But it's never going to be, you'll never be replaced. So I want to thank you, John, and thank you for all of the work that you've done and support in regards to the IDA stuff.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Mike, and because thank all of you. And it's been an absolute pleasure to serve with you guys and an honor to be part of the IDA. I do not take this roll off of or not seeking a reappointment lightly. I thought long and hard about it, prayed over it. But again, thank you all for what you guys have done. I've been blessed to be part of what you have done. Bill, Mike, Paul, Vincent, Sue, you're new to this, but Russ and Dean, you're helpful. And of course, Langdon, your office, and Leslie, and those that are not here with us this evening. Thank you again. It's been a pleasure and honor, and I look forward to helping in any way, shape, or form that I can as kind of a private citizen. But it's been a pleasure and an honor. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. And if you ever get a chance, just talk up the IDA.
Always.
And don't leave yet, John. You got a few more minutes, please. Don't sign off yet.
I'm with you folks till the end, and I appreciate all your help and support. Langdon, you folks, honestly, and what you have done has been critically important and a great backstop and comfort with what we're doing. So again, appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mike.
Oh, thank you, John. Thank you. And lastly, as we're going to get into some of the other agenda items coming down. We have the Bill's report, and then we're going to be talking about some specific projects. It's something that we'll look forward to in the upcoming year. I'm thinking in the first quarter, having a potential we talked about it last year. We never actually came to fruition, but maybe having a little retreat that maybe some board development, staff development, and consultant development, where we can put together an agenda for 2022, so we can try to plan a little bit better. That's one of my goals for the new year, is to try to have the IDA board meetings planned a little bit easier, better, and that they don't take the 3 hours that some of them do take. So, but with that, and literally come up with a nice, maybe a calendar for committee meetings as well. So. With that, I'll head this over to Bill for his management report.
Terrific. Thank you, sir. Just a few things. Obviously, I've spent the last 2 weeks settling in. It's been great to be here full time and not have another set of responsibilities to work on. That's been great and been a little new for this year, but it's been wonderful. Kind of got set up here physically, get set up here technically. Appreciate Dean's help. We have had some snafus. Just trying to transition me over and get all my contacts and calendar and everything over here, but we're getting there. So I appreciate everyone's help and the leeway to allow me to kind of move things around here to get settled. And we did move Kelly. You may recall, we have kind of a horseshoe shaped office now, but it was for a much larger staff. Kelly was on the other side. I used to have to scream around the horseshoe for her. She moved over into one of the offices, and she and I are right next to each other now. And we do have the desk out front for admin help, which we will look to add soon. And we have one other space for one other staff person that we could add in the new year. So feel great about that. I do want to start to change some things around here. Some of the signage, some of the posters that are up here, mostly promoting the Accelerator. I'd like to change all that out. So under our retainer that we have with Dean Brady on the line here with us, Dean does photography, does graphic design, all sorts of stuff like that. So we're going to work with him on some of this. I'll call it rebranding to a degree and changing the look of our headquarters to a degree. So settling in, it's been great and really getting up and running. I've been making presentations recently and plan to make more about the IDA, reintroducing the Orange County IDA and OCFC to the general public, especially locally here. I presented to the Warwick Chamber of Commerce last week. I present tomorrow to the Rotary Club of Goshen. I presented to NYSCAR, which is the New York State Commercial Association of Realtors. Commercial real estate brokers are still the lifeblood of economic development here. It's important for us to have relationships with them and be working on leads and opportunities and spreading the word, as I have with them, that we're open for business again. We're looking to incentivize projects that are worthy. We certainly want to rebuild the public's trust, and we want to be very busy again. We want to be the force that this IDA has been for years in helping to make economic development happen. So that's the word that I've been spreading. Again, I will be doing more presentations as we go forward. Accelerators, I've had a lot of meeting with Accelerator subtenants, where some that still have not renewed their lease, for example, in Middletown. And a lot of my discussions, meetings with them have been about concerns of lack of activity in that site, issues with maybe leaks or other complaints that, I have vowed that we've been addressing everything as they come up. But I have reached out to our landlords and made it clear that we expect, as we're trying to keep these accelerators busy, full, and being supportive to our clients the best we can, we really want to raise the expectation of the fact that we're paying awfully good money for these sites. We want to make sure that they're in great condition. If there are any issues, leaks, any maintenance required, that it's done right away. So that has been a concern of Accelerator clients who have not yet renewed. That, and again, just the lack of other tenants. So we have been exploring bringing some other potential tenants in. I have 2 possibilities to talk to you a little bit later in the agenda about that. And again, I'm looking to renew our Accelerator clients at least until the end of our lease term with our landlords in each respective site. One other client, excuse me, specifically was Inform Lightworks. Actually, that's an existing company for 2 of our Accelerator clients. Really, their venture is called Lightsome Studios. I want to thank Chairman Torelli and Mr. Tamburi, who attended a little tour we did down the hill at their location. I'll call them Inform Lightworks. They develop high-end lighting fixtures. Very innovative, really interesting what they're doing. 2 RPI grads who've been working together for a long time. And they have a website, e-commerce site that they put together. They have a product line, and they're very close to launching. So they had reached out to the board. They had written the chairman, invited the board to come pay a visit. And again, I'm glad we did do that. And we all worked together, including our board members, to find out, to develop ways that we could actually support them that wouldn't be terribly costly to us. And we've been following up on that. One thing, because Inform Lightworks is in the New Windsor Accelerator in one of the buildings for which the lease is expiring at the end of the year. So they know that their time there may be short. We've been trying to help them find another location. I think it was an idea of the chairman's, was trying to identify maybe another manufacturer in the region, hopefully in Orange County, that may be interested in serving as kind of a mentor, as well as giving them space where they could continue to develop their technology and launch their business. So we have reached out to a few different possible sources there. One is MTech. They provide manufacturing technical support. I believe they're in Highland. The Council of Industry, which is essentially an association of manufacturers in the Mid-Hudson region. And a couple other individuals we reach out to for ideas of possible companies that could serve as mentor slash landlords for Inform Lightworks. I reviewed that list with the guys from Inform. They're doing their research. They want to make sure they have no conflicts. And then they're coming back to me, and we're going to approach them and see if we can kind of help broker this arrangement where they could meet with Inform Lightworks and perhaps look to take them on. So that's just a little update on our meeting with them and the follow-up we've done. We're also planning a meeting here at the headquarters where we could bring other potential partners of them in their industry and outside their industry, and related as other ways to perhaps bring some other resources and assistance to them. So again, I appreciate your willingness to talk to them, to hear them out, to see their operations, see their innovations, and to continue to support them. So we are still doing that. Lastly, I'll just talk about the pipeline. I feel like I say this every month, but I've had a number of new conversations this month from then previous months about potential applicants to the Orange County IDA for incentives. I had another call today. I had one yesterday. I am anticipating receiving at least one application next month. I expected that this month and last month. There were some specific issues, and those folks did follow up with me to say, here's why we haven't applied yet. And usually, mostly issues on their end. But we have had more and more discussions with potential applicants. So I'm certainly expecting an application to come before you soon. I know it's been quite a while. I think you've all been doing this going on 9 months. You hadn't seen an application yet, but we're having many more conversations, much more interest. And again, I do expect that you'll see at least, 1 or 2 applications before too long. That was mostly it. And anyone else, in case anyone else had any other questions for me, I can answer them before we move on.
No, Bill, I would just say, once that site goes live for that Accelerator tenant for their lighting,
Yes.
once the retail site, please blast it out to everybody.
Yeah, sure.
And then also, if you could send it out to our economic development partners to see if they could blast it out to their clientele with a little write-up on it, on how this is a startup who has been, in the Accelerator and such, and maybe they can get some business out of it.
Absolutely. Great idea. Terrific. Thank you. That's it for my report.
Great.
Next, we'll be moving on to new business.
All right.
Want me to jump right in?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, thanks. Sorry. So first order under this is board officers and committees. So with Mr. Dowdit's resignation, he was serving as vice chair, of course. Leslie Pieri resigned last month, and both as expected, with their terms coming up at the end of this month. Of course, Leslie Pieri was our secretary, so both of those seats are open. Mr. Odock is assistant secretary. Mr. Ruskevich is and Mr. Tamburi are members at large, essentially, and obviously Mr. Trelli being the chairman. And I just wanted, so I mentioned officers and then our committee assignments. Obviously, it's a small group, so all the same people really on the committees. But right now, just as you know, I'll just list them as they are. Our audit committee is listed as Leslie and John. Obviously, that's got to be reappointed. Finance is John, Vincent, and the chairman. Governance is John, Michael, and Leslie. So we have only got one left there. Human Resources is Leslie, John, and Michael. The Accelerator Committee is Leslie, Michael, and Vincent. And then we have the Resiliency Loan Committee for OCFC, which is John, Vincent, and Michael. So we do need to make some further committee assignments. I would like to ask Sue Katzoff if she would like to chime in here. We've talked a little bit about committees. Perhaps, Sue, perhaps you could kind of share with us really what we need to do and what perhaps we have any more leeway with, if we can leave anything open, or what we absolutely have to do to be in compliance as far as our committees are concerned, and officers for that matter.
Well, so there, as you know, the PAAA sets out certain committees that you have to have: your governance, your audit, your finance committee meetings. They have to be made up, I think, of three independent members. And so when you have smaller boards like this, you tend to have repetitive committee members, which is a challenge for the board because it takes up more time. Although some of the committees meet far less frequently than others. Every committee does not need to meet every month. They need to meet on an as needed basis. So for instance, if you were issuing bonds, your finance committee is obligated to review that and make a recommendation to the full board. If you're going to take on debt, you have to have it run through the finance committee. Some IDAs use their finance committee as a sounding board for all new applications, so that the committee, the board in general, has 2 bites at the apple. It goes, I have seen IDAs who send their applications to their finance committees to let them review it as a first blush, and then they make a recommendation out to the full board. That is not required, but it is some IDA's preference in terms of governance, so that you're not having applications that are being approved and being seen by the board for the first time. What the general public, in my opinion, doesn't understand is all the work that goes on behind the scenes. By the time the board gets an application, it's been vetted through your executive director. Your chairman most oftentimes has seen it. There have been other and multiple discussions with developers, back and forth information. But of course, that doesn't get seen by the public. So in order to for some IDAs, they like to send them through their finance committee meetings because they're very public. And so you see, look, we've seen it twice. We saw it last month, we held the public hearing, and now it's coming before the board with a recommendation from the finance committee. What I would recommend is giving Bill, now that he's settled in, and I an opportunity to sit down and really analyze, where are you? Like, as of the first of the year, where are you? What committees have you have? What committee members are left? In what capacities are they serving? Identify the committees that are most important in terms of timing for you. Your governance committee, what does it need to review? When does it need to review it? Your finance committee, your audit committee. Let's put them in place in a way that makes the most sense for the board, given your current composition, and get those up and running. And then, we can continue to work on it as we go. That would be my recommendation.
Great.
Yeah, can I say something? Yes. Technically, my letter states December, that my appointment ends in December 2021. So I have always been of that opinion that my term is ending. There's no other letter stating something different. The letter I have says appointment ends at 1st of December. I don't know whether any of you got similar letters.
Yes, I think we all got the same letter, Vince, and I'm not going to speak for Langdon, but I think he said that we would stay on in perpetuity until such a time where the legislature either reappointed us or voted us out or put new people in. I'm not exactly sure what the right verbiage is, but you're right.
You would hold over. You're just going to hold over.
Right, you serve until you're replaced or reappointed.
Okay.
That work for you, doctor? Are you saying you were planning to? You assumed you were coming off, so you're planning to, or no?
Yeah, but I've I've always thought of my last day is December 31st. That's what the letter states. And I've not had any other letter saying otherwise.
Are you interested in continuing?
Again?
Are you interested in reappointment?
I'm still thinking about it. I still have some others, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe, Paul, maybe you could bring this up to the E&E committee to see what they would feel like giving us reappointments and an actual letter or something. I know they're entertaining or looking at potentially adding new board members. So maybe that's something that you could bring to them and ask for us to receive reappointments. The ones that, yeah.
Yeah, we've been talking about that and, looking for names and discussing criteria for board members, stuff like that.
Okay.
But I have the position, and I think the rest of the legislature do as well. Any one of you who is interested in continuing, we would seriously consider reappointing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me.
And hopefully we can get that done in January so we can get a full board in place by our actually be January committee meeting. So the first Thursday in February, we'd be making official appointments.
May I just ask a point of clarification? So the letters that appointed each of the current board members had December 31st as the expiration date?
Yes.
Yes. When we removed the old board and put in this temporary board, we did it on a 1-year expire at the end of the year to get us through this transition period, and then we'll be making new appointments. And I imagine we'll have to do them on a staggering basis, because I believe the terms are 5 years, if I'm not mistaken.
The terms on the board?
Yes.
Russ can wait. I would invite Russ to weigh in if he knows differently than I do, but it was not my understanding that appointments to an IDA board came with a specific term, because I mean, I don't think they can't, but I think normally you get appointed until you are removed.
That's exactly right. Thanks, Sue. I agree with your conclusion that unless the appointing body attaches a time limit for a term, you're appointed until you're replaced. There's no statutory time limit.
Yeah, that may have been specific to Orange County. We may have attached a term to that, but I'll have to check with our council to be sure of that.
Yeah, and Sue and I can
believe
talk
that-
to you, Paul, about that, but there is no statutory time limit that statewide you have a limit of 2 years or 3 years. It's a pleasure of the appointing body.
Right. And my only concern, Russ, would be unlike what you and I are used to, where you are appointed until you aren't. If you have an appointment that specifically calls for a term date, I think we should look at that or get those reappointments done as soon as possible, because I think that's something that might create an issue, because the statute, as far as I understand it, does not have a term associated with it. The holdover idea, that would work for if it was in your bylaws. If your bylaws say you serve until your replacement is put in, then I think the holdover works. If the bylaws are silent, then I just think it's an issue we need to look at.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also think we need to look at, and I honestly haven't looked at it in years, this IDA's enabling legislation. Because Sue, if you recall, there are certain IDAs that are required to have a minimum number of board members. We want to make sure that we're not one of those boards. So let's Sue and I speak offline about it, and we can circle back with Bill, and he can report back to the board, offline.
Great. I would say the same for committees. Sue, why don't you work with Bill and come up with a schedule for next year of who would be on what, but more importantly, what ones we have to meet on, and put some actual hard dates on there. We like to have them a week or two before our regularly scheduled meetings, if possible, just so that we can do stuff at the committees that can be brought to the board after. So,
You got it.
great. All right, Bill, next agenda item.
Okay, next item is Newburgh 139 LLC Assignment of Benefits. This is something that came in very recently, so we had to amend the agenda and send it to you. But we just shared a letter that came in from the representation for Mr. Martin Milano of Newburgh 139 LLC. What that project is the Hampton Inn on Crossroads Court, which is near, you may recall that you may be familiar with the Orange County Choppers headquarters, or former headquarters in the town of Newburgh. This is a relatively new Hampton Inn there. It was built about 5 years ago, and they had a 10-year pilot approved by the previous board. And Mr. Milano is selling this to a new group, Hudson, known as legally here as Hudson Valley 275 JV LLC. And they are going to be continuing to operate the hotel as it has been. No change in operations whatsoever. No change in employee levels. Actually, that's a concern of theirs. I want to make sure they're holding on to as many employees as possible. That's something they've been emphasizing. Mr. Milano made an introduction earlier today to me and those folks, so I could meet them. I just asked them a few questions just to understand what the intent was, and then that's it. It's like what we've considered before. CRH is one that we did before, but it's just an assignment of the benefits that Mr. Milano and Newburgh 139 LLC received from the OCIDA and the new entity that's purchasing the hotel, assuming those benefits. So it's the same thing that we've done. It is something I shared with Russ, because Russ has familiarity with a couple of projects that Mr. Milano did with the IDA. And Russ, if you want to chime in, but I know you said that it was typical, like what we've done. This board has already done in the past.
Yeah, and Sue, feel free to weigh in.
I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties.
You having trouble hearing, Mike?
Can you hear us, Mike?
Can you hear us, Mike?
It looks like he's froze up.
I'm getting some intermittent freezing as well, all of a sudden.
And I am not. Are you good right now, Mike?
I'm good right now. So
Maybe it was
heard
just.
like, yeah,
Do
I
you
heard like
need me to-
95% of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mike, I don't know what you heard. Essentially, the Hampton Inn wants to do an assignment and assumption agreement similar to what we did at Crystal Run, and this came in short order. They're selling the facility, and Sue, feel free to chime in. This is not typical. It's not atypical. We're not providing any new benefits. They will receive all of the rights and obligations under the IDA documents, holding the IDA harmless, job creation, pilot obligations, and if they don't perform, it's like anything else, it would be an event of default. So they've requested that the board consider an approval of an assignment and assumption agreement.
I agree, Russ.
And
the only thing in my opinion, you want to make sure of is that the new entity has the wherewithal to operate the same facility. So you wouldn't want me coming in and, trying to run a hotel. But as long as the new company, that's their, line of business, then I have no objection to what they're asking for. And I agree with Russ. You don't see it every day, but you certainly see it. So not out of
right.
the
And Bill and I, we talked about that briefly today, that, look, you don't want someone that runs a dollar store to come in and take over a hotel. So, if you want to wait and do some more due diligence, we can do that, but it just came in literally yesterday, Bill.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep. Let's see if there's anything else I can add here. So the new ownership, they're based in two partners based in Long Island and in Manhattan in Tribeca. They are in the finance sector, but they do operate other hotels. It's just an area of investment for them. Again, I haven't met them. I do have an introductory email, so I'll be calling them tomorrow to learn more about that. So they will be new to the area, but again, same services, same employee count. They are scheduled to close on the purchase of the hotel on the 23rd of this month, so next week, and they are selling the entire property. It's not like they're breaking any of it off or anything. And I did check the current owners have been current on all property taxes and such, so there's no delinquency or compliance issues on our end either. So they've been completely compliant and up to snuff in that regard.
And they're fully compliant with all the Paris reporting and those type of things, right, Bill?
Yes, sir.
So Russ, were you able to provide them or Bill or anyone with an assumption agreement? Like, have they sent, does anyone know what it looks like? I mean, if they're going to close in next week, that's the only thing. You need them to sign something that is going to obligate.
Oh, yeah,
them.
we would. Yeah, Sue, you and I could coordinate that. We would provide or we would collaboratively provide a assignment and assumption agreement, and all costs that are associated with that on the legal side would have to be borne by the two parties. And it's not that big of a deal.
Agreed. Yeah, just want to, and I'm happy if you've got one. I just want to make sure they get one before.
Yeah. I have. We've done it, and in fact, we approved one with Crystal Run a couple months ago, Bill. So I certainly have forms that I can share with you, Sue.
And the only other thing I'll add is speaking of fee, in addition to the legal fees that would be borne by these entities, as we said, there also is an opportunity for us to levy a fee for the work that's involved here. Russ and I did discuss that. We talked about $2,500 being kind of a typical nominal amount for this. So that's just something else for the board to consider in this if you want to assess a fee related to this work. Mr. Chairman, you still hearing us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great.
So board members, I think we're comfortable. We've done this before in relation to the Crystal Run one in the Monroe area. We did that a couple months back with an assumption and assignment agreement. In this instance, I'd like to be able to get you guys' opinion on if we should be charging an assignment fee. I think most entities probably would. There is some legwork that needs to be done. Our consultant staff will charge directly if I understand it correctly, but it's for our staff time and for filings and for everything else that we need to do.
Exactly.
I think our regular or initial application fee is 5,000. I think 2,500 is not unrealistic when you're dealing with I'll say a more streamlined or easier issue like this. I just want to get everybody's opinion on it. Anyone have any opinion? Discussion?
My suggestion, if I may, Mr. Chair, is we've talked about this in the past, is just to establish a quick policy that says when you're doing an assignment and assumption, there's an administrative fee of $2,500 that is due and payable when it's executed. And you have to cover all legal costs associated with that. Because, Bill spends time on it. He's on the phone and dealing with it. And this is a last minute thing. And just have a standard policy and some IDAs have that, some do not, where it's $2,500 unless the board otherwise approves. That's a fair and reasonable fee.
And I think we would add that to our schedule of charges. That's one of the things we want to do in first quarter next year, is to review our schedule of charges and make it more streamlined and easier to understand, and whatnot. And this should be part of that. Yeah, I agree. Board members, any questions, discussion? So are we to the point where we can make a determination where we can vote on this tonight?
Russ is nodding his head, yes.
All right. So
yes, you can. And what I'll do, is, depending upon the board's pleasure, is because this came so quickly, Sue and I can put together, assuming the board approves it, a resolution memorializing the board's action. So we have a piece of paper that is on your website and filed appropriately, in your board packet after the fact.
okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the assignment of benefits on this application, subject to a $2,500 assignment fee plus payment of actual expenses by council or by councils, because there could be two. And I'd like to entertain that motion. So I'd like to make the motion and entertain a second, please.
Second, anyone?
I'll second, Mike.
Thank you, John. Discussion? Roll call, Bill.
Torelli,
Yes.
Dowdett,
Yes.
Odoc,
Yes.
Ruskevich,
Yes.
4 ayes, motion carries.
Thank you. I'll ask councils to work on that, and Bill, if you could just share that with the board members once it becomes I'll say executable, if that's the correct term, so we all can say it.
Okay,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.
All right, next agenda
Okay.
item.
Well, last under new business is something I alluded to earlier. I've been looking to try and, when possible and when reasonable and logical, been trying to fill up some of the spaces we have in some of the empty accelerators, the ones we're still paying for, like Middletown, for example. Middletown has been a ghost town for a while. It is an uncomfortable space because it's so empty. It's a bit eerie in there, and we have some clients. COVID certainly impacted this, but we have some clients who are mostly working from home because they don't like the environment there. There's no one else there, a bit of a ghost town. There have been some issues, as I said, with leaks, this, that, and the other. So trying to help create a better culture there and make it a better environment for even the existing and renewing accelerator clients. So I've been talking to clients about, associates of theirs or other ventures. I've tried not, I haven't just put this out there. Of course, we're really trying to control this. But I've been having those discussions for several weeks, and we now have 2 groups that are interested in actually leasing space that vacant space in the Middletown Accelerator. One is actually another venture of one of our current clients, Exasoothe, an eczema cream company, who's trying to do actual clinical trials. They've been trying to partner with Touro College on clinical trials of their product. So that's something we're trying to assist with. And they're actually partners in another venture, Abundant Living Total Wellness. And they want to use one of the Middletown Accelerator spaces to do essentially it's like spa work, but it's health spa, medical spa type of procedures. They're looking to take about 546 square feet, one of the existing spaces that has a sink and a little more open. And the rate we have been quoting, by the way, is $15 per square foot. That, by the way, is per year, is how that's typically computed. And that is a rate that the county attorney's office helped calculate for us based upon not just the rent per square foot of the space itself, but each tenant's share of the shared spaces, the common areas, bathroom, conference room. So we've really included that because we weren't recouping any of those costs. So we've been quoting that. The second potential new tenant is, or subtenant, I should say, is a company known as Ocida. Some of you may have heard of them in the past in the area. They have had some notoriety. It's a very, very interesting and innovative product. Really, it's essentially synthetic blood that they're developing to help keep donated organs healthy, alive for an extended period of time, also to be able to use to help patients, actually. So very, very interesting. It has been in the work for quite a while. They were actually in this area, in the Stewart Airport campus, for some time, but they moved to the Touro Medical College, and they had a large space down there that I toured this week, where they have lab equipment. They have microscopes, high-powered microscopes, all these hoods where you're doing sterile work, let's put it that way. And there was a major flood in actually one of the newly redeveloped spaces being redeveloped at the complex there, at the Horton complex. The construction caused a leak of a water line, and there was a flood, and it basically rained on all of their equipment. Now, not only do they need somewhere else to go to continue their work and their research, but their biggest priority, the way they expressed it to me, was that Touro College of Osteopathic Medicine, their medical students, they get actually clinical research hours by working with Ocida. And right now that has been suspended. And although Ocida wants their work and their research to continue, their biggest concern is that these Touro students don't have the opportunity to earn these types of hours. So our landlord, our mutual landlord, Tony Danza of Danza Lesser Group, approached me about them renting some space in the Middletown Accelerator. I did tour that with them end of last week, I guess it was. And they're interested in taking two pods, I'll call it, two offices that are next to each other that both have sinks, just as a space to allow them to get up and running and bring students back in there. So there may be other information you may want, other research you'd like me to do, but we have not drafted leases. That's normally what I would do is work probably in this case with Sue on developing new leases for these tenants and then present them to you for your approval. But that's the basic background of these potential new Middletown Accelerator subtenants.
Okay, Bill. So nothing to be voted on tonight, but you'll work on it. And one of the things that I think you should do, and even though our subleases are not that grandiose, is potentially do a little term sheet that they can at least back and forth email, say, yeah, those are the terms that I agree with, so that you're working off the same sheet of music. That's a good practice in regards to that. So you guys are working, and obviously make sure that it doesn't go past our length of term.
Absolutely. And we would still include that 30-day termination
Mutual right
clause.
to terminate without clause. Yep.
Right, correct. Absolutely. That's a great idea. That way we're not just sending back and forth various iterations of a lease. We can just negotiate on the term sheet. That's a great suggestion. Thank you.
Then you'd make that presentation at next month's meeting?
Yes, that's my plan.
Okay.
They're both looking for occupancy as soon as possible. This was obviously the soonest board meeting, and I did tell them there was obviously some work that would have to be done. So we'll get working, and Sue, if it's okay, I'll reach out to you about this and start cracking on it. Terrific. Okay. Next
Right.
category is unfinished business. And there are two requests that you approved extensions of already approved IDA benefits for these two projects. Lench's Amusements, which is the Castle Fun Center in the village of Chester, and then Southgate Flats Hotel, which is the proposed hotel in Highland Falls, outside of West Point. What you did last month was approve. Let me back up, and Russ can speak to this for sure. But the former board put in a requirement that really put a time cap on approved IDA incentives for projects, because sometimes they would linger and go out 3-4 years. So I believe it's a 2-year requirement, Russ, that after it's approved, there's a two-year time. 1 year. It is 1 year where they have to actually close on their project. So COVID in both of these cases, with the Castle and with Southgate Flats Hotel, has delayed these projects, not to mention increase the budgets for the projects drastically. So you extended the ability for them to take advantage of their approved IDA benefits. You extended that into 2022, but both projects came back to us and said, because their budgets have grown so much due to COVID and escalating costs of building materials and such, they're actually looking to get approval for an increased amount of sales tax exemption that they'd be eligible for. The first is the Castle Fun Center. I have shared, these were in your packets, the letters that we received from these applicants, or these really approved projects. And from Mr. Brian Lench's, the owner of the Castle, he talked about his 15,000 square foot addition. This is an expansion project in Chester for the Castle. And he basically expressed that he would need the sales tax exemptions that were approved was approximately $2 million. And he is estimating that he's going to need that to be increased between $500,000 to $1 million because of, again, the budgets going that far up and him having to pay for materials and such in excess of the $2 million that has been approved. So I'm going to mention both of these together, if that's okay. Stop me if you like, Mr. Chairman. But so that's a request from the Castle, and a little bit more detailed letter from Mr. Rick Minikazi, Southgate Flats Hotel, again in Highland Falls. He had originally estimated the value of improvements at $17 million and change because of escalating costs. Let's see, the total cost for direct trades and equipment, almost $46 million. And then adding in other administrative and insurance costs, he's saying the new budget for the project is over $60 million. So then looking at material costs and what would be subject to sales tax exemption, he's looking at a new total of $25,253,699 for total cost of materials and equipment. Looking multiplying that times our sales tax rate, 8.125%. He's looking at needing sales tax exemption on materials and equipment. Oh, I'm sorry, sales tax totaling over $2 million, $2,051,863. This is an increase of $659,810. So looking to have the increase of eligibility of sales tax exemption to cover the new budget. Sue, I'm going to ask you if you could chime in, because there is an added dimension to this given the size of the request.
Right. So two things. One, my assumption is, and either Bill or Russ or anyone can tell me, but that you approved, or the prior board approved, the undertaking of the project based upon their application, which set out their project costs and the amount of financial assistance they intended to receive. So that's been approved. Those numbers are contained in their application, which has to, by operation of law, be verified. So the first thing I would want them to do is submit an updated or supplemental application, or at least the page with the project costs on it, and verify it. And then, because the increases exceed $100,000 beyond what has been approved, I believe you need to hold a new public hearing with respect to those. And of course, when you go to close, the increased project costs will increase the fee that you're going to charge against the total project costs. So those are the only things. And to be honest with you, and I'm sure this is true for Russ too, but we have seen this throughout the state. I mean, everybody is struggling to bring their projects in under budget or on budget based upon what they thought it was going to cost before COVID hit. So I'm not surprised by the request for the increases, but I do think you need to get it in the form of a verified supplemental application and hold the public hearing.
Yeah, Sue, and I'm looking at the resolutions that were previously adopted. There are a bunch of them where there were, in particular for Llc J's, they were extended from March 16 through September of 2020, where they basically were rescinded because they were not doing anything. And then, you know, Bill and you and I received these letters, and I agree with everything that you're saying, that it's probably best, if not from a legal perspective, but from an optics perspective, to hold new public hearings and look at it from afresh. They did send supplemental letters that, you know, the board has and Bill has, but it may be best to have them either supplement or verify their numbers before the board approves anything. I know that Llc J's is Bill, you and I talked to their
Brian.
team earlier this week, yeah, Brian, and they're ready to go. And I think we can provide the assistance that was extended up to the dollar amount that was previously approved. But I think we need to verify the increase going forward. And so if they're ready to put a shovel in the dirt, it's already been approved, we're just extending that. Because the prior board came up with a policy to basically say, if you don't close within a year, your resolutions are deemed terminated.
So I just want to clarify, understood everything we need to do, supplemental page of the application, schedule public hearings and such. Mr. Lynch's, for example, he did say, I think he told us even today, he's looking to make some purchases to get going. So because they are approved, up until that first cap that was approved, they can start making qualified purchases right now, right? But obviously everything we're saying we need to do has to be done before he would be able to go beyond that initial threshold or cap.
That's correct. That's my opinion anyway.
Russ, and the three of us could talk offline, but they haven't closed, right? So there's no lease documents or bill of sale or anything executed?
No. Nothing's been executed.
And no appointment officially has happened, right? So I think
Other
some
than
of that
the
needs to,
prior resolution.
right. So I'm not sure of your process before, but I would think some of that needs to happen before they can take advantage of the sales tax. I mean, it's been approved, but they haven't.
Oh yeah, they would have to close on the prior approval, and then Sue, we would coordinate a new public hearing to fix, you know, what their changes are and bring it back to the board.
Right. I'm sorry. I just didn't want anybody else to think that after this meeting, they could go start, you know, spending money. They have to close.
No, they have to close.
Right.
They have to close, and they have to pay the IDA fee and any other associated fees, yes.
Can we use the term execute instead of close?
Whatever you
Is
want, Mike.
Is that more appropriate or finalize or something? Because it sounds like, you know, they need to close. Well, no, they really need to execute the resolution and the documents, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, all right. Because I know this is a public meeting. I want to make sure everyone's understanding it correctly. So,
Sorry, I don't mean to use the lawyer speak, but that's when you're a transactional lawyer, it's closed. But you're right, execute.
or closing, you know, we want to hold the closing of the document, you know, or whatever, but thank you.
Correct.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right.
And the board would not approve I'll call it raising the cap here or the limit of until you have these documents, right? Until you have supplemental page and any other information we need. Okay.
And
So
you
Correct.
Sue,
come back on
and
this.
Sue, you said that because it's over $100,000, it would trigger another public hearing?
That is how I look at the statute. If the board is going to provide financial assistance in excess of $100,000, you have to hold a public hearing. So could you argue that the project originally was over that and you held your public hearing and you don't need another one? You could, but I think it's better to err on the side of caution. I mean, that's already been approved. So optically, if you now give them, you know, $100,000 more in sales tax exemption, someone in the public might have thought that was too much initially and come to your public hearing and objected. Now, I get almost nobody comes to public hearings, but nonetheless, that's the purpose of the public hearing. So if you approved a project, these were the verified amounts, this is what you approved, that's all well and good. If they come back and want more than $100,000 in additional benefits, I would suggest you hold another public hearing.
Okay. And Bill, we would normally do that in the host municipalities, correct?
Correct.
That's what we've done in the past, correct? Yeah, okay.
Yep, you have to hold it wherever the project is.
Okay.
All right, so I'll be back on those.
Yep, so yeah, and try to schedule those public hearings so that we can have proper notice and all that stuff with them as well. All right,
Absolutely, we'll do. That's all we have. I know Mr. Chapman wanted to perhaps take us into executive session.
yeah, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna suspend the, for lack of the correct terms, we're gonna hold the IDA meeting open. And we're going to start the OCFC meeting, go through our regular board calendar with that, close out the OCFC meeting, come back into a session with the IDA meeting, and then go into executive session so we don't forget like I normally do. And then we walk away and no one does the OCFC stuff. So at this point, I'd like to make I'd like to vote on holding the IDA meeting open and opening the OCFC meeting. I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second, Mike.
Thank you. Roll call, Bill.
Torelli,
Yes.
Dowdit,
Yes.
Odoc,
Yes.
Riskevich,
Yes.
4 ayes.
And we'll come back to the OCIDA meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
4 ayes.
And then we're going to go into executive session for the purpose of attorney-client privilege in regards to pending potential litigation and or discussions of matters with our direct subtenants. Does that sound okay?
I think you're making a motion to go into executive session under section 105, 1D of the Public Officers Law to discuss proposed litigation.
Yes, thank you. I made the motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Right. Good evening, everyone. This is Mike Torelli, Chairman of the Orange County Industrial Development Agency. We just completed our executive session, and we are going back into the public portion of the meeting. With that, I'd like to get a quick roll call, just so we're all present. Bill?
Torelli,
Yes.
Dowdit,
Present.
Odoc,
Present.
Riskevich,
Present.
Dean Tamburi is absent. 4 out of 5 members here.
Great. Item of business for the Orange County Industrial Development Agency. We'd like to enter into a resolution that will be read by Langdon Chapman in regards to pending litigation or litigation that we will be seeking. And the entity, our new counsel, Sue, and her group will be leading for us. So with that, Langdon would, or if someone, either Langdon or someone from the group would like to read that resolution?
Sure. So I believe the motion to be made would be that you would move on behalf of the Orange County IDA to authorize Bosket Holstein PLLC to commence litigation against Vincent Cosolino, Lori Villasuso, Edward Diana, Galileo Technology Group, any officer, shareholder, or manager, associate of Galileo Technology Group recommended by Bosket Holstein PLLC, and the other person or entity authorized by the chairman of the board of the IDA upon recommendation of Bosket Holstein PLLC to effectuate the purpose of the litigation. The purpose of the litigation would be to recover any money paid due to void contracts entered into or paid out by the IDA, and to recover any other money paid as a result of any contract Bosket Holstein PLLC determines was wrongfully paid due to the unlawful conduct of Mr. Cozzolino and or Mr. Diana or Ms. Villasuso or Galileo Technology Group, and further resolved that such causes of action to effectuate the purpose of the litigation are authorized as determined by Bosket Holstein PLC in conjunction with the chairperson of the IDA, and further resolved that the chairperson for the board is authorized to sign any and all documents and take any required action to effectuate the purposes of the resolution.
Great. Any discussion by board members?
No.
With that, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve that resolution. I'll make that motion to approve. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second, Mike.
Thanks, John. Roll call, Bill.
Borelli,
Yes.
Dowdit,
Yes.
Odoc,
Yes.
Riskevich,
Yes.
4 ayes. Motion passes.
With that, I'd like to take a motion to adjourn the Orange County Industrial Development Agency meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye.